This is CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast with Business Solutions MVPs Joel Lindstrom, George Dubinsky, and Shawn the CRM Hobbit Tabor. This episode of CRM Audio is sponsored by Dynamics 365 User Group. D365UG is the world's most influential user group community of Microsoft Dynamics 365 and CRM users and partners. Across the globe, members share a common goal of maximizing and advancing the performance of Microsoft Dynamics 365 and CRM so that individuals and companies can improve operations, overcome obstacles, and exceed goals. We thank CRMUG for sponsoring CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast.
Welcome to February.
Yeah, it's February already. Awesome. So the big bombshell news that came out, which I know you talked about a little bit on with our correspondents from the UK. That was nice to have them on at your service. We should try and draft them into something more permanent, I think. But anyway, so the big bombshell at the CRM Saturday about a week ago was that, that Outlook client, we're not going to deprecate that after all.
Right.
Right. And kind of what we've learned is, Microsoft has heard loud and clear people aren't too happy with the Outlook client, and there's a lot of people that are on old versions of Exchange and Outlook. So I had some conversations with some clients in the week since, and I'm still telling people the app's the future, and if you can go there, and you'll be happier. But it's good to know Microsoft is listening.
That still leaves us quite a number of items still deprecated.
Well, kind of listening is a big word. It's kind of walking away and then turning around and say, "What did you just say to me?"
Yeah, exactly. How much is that going to cost me? What did you say?
Well, a good point. Yeah, you're right, Hobbit, that some items are deprecated. Well, the whole thing is deprecated long term. Though the meaning of the word deprecated changed. Before we were told that deprecated means that it is there now, will be gone in the next version. Here it's put on indefinite leave. It's kind of we are going to remove it, but we're not telling you when.
Right.
Some things are not gonna survive for a long time. For example, offline capabilities. My understanding that, Joel, you expert in all things mobile. As I understand, the focus is now offline capabilities mobile. That's where things are, right?
Yeah. Now I didn't get that they had announced, because right now with V9, isn't the offline already taken out? Yeah.
What I meant is that whatever investments they making into Outlook client, offline capabilities aren't that. There will be no investment into offline capabilities in Outlook client or in the app.
Right.
So
and they're going to rely mobile for that. But
yeah,
what I would say is if and I don't necessarily have a problem with them undeprecating. I think though it calls attention to a new setting or a new term that we need for these features.
Zombies.
Deprecated?
Yeah, if they're not going. Well, no, if they're not going to actively enhance the capability anymore, then that needs to be stated, because non-deprecated means it's going on. It could be upgraded and enhanced.
Oh, right? Okay. Right. So you mean like what service scheduling been since version 3?
Yes, right. But come up with a name for it. So that
deprecated features.
Well, I don't know. I guess legacy features or something, just to say that there's not going to be
stable features. That's the word. Stable.
Yeah.
Because not changing. You can rely on that not changing.
Well, it would.
It's a positive. Look, stable,
definitely,
positive.
Definitely.
Yeah.
it would help me going into a client to say, yes, you can use this Outlook add-in for,
as long as you
like. But this is the set of features, and if you want to get more out of it, then here, let me show you something like Riva or something or another solution. Does that make sense? I mean, it's just from a implementation standpoint, it's very hard to get in front of the client and say, yeah, this isn't gonna get you anything more than what you can get now, and you need to be okay with that.
Yeah, so I noticed that too. Like they said, they're going to fix the problems, but there's a whole slew of things going back to even 2013 that were never added to the Outlook client. You never got the quick create menu. You never got the modern version of recently viewed items. You never got the global search in 2015, and so yeah, you're choosing by staying with that to not use those features for those users. But on the other hand, I sat in with a session with a customer that does everything in Outlook, and it's a financial services company, and everything that they do is within Outlook, and it's the way they use it. And saying you've got to move now, just there's a lot of, it's not easy, So, and I think buying them a little bit more time, and saying, and also. When you have somebody who has something that what you have isn't working great, but you have to upgrade and your life's going to be better. You got some credibility there that you gotta get right. So anyway, I think it's a good thing, but I think the end result is still you want to be looking at moving. You just gotta plan it out, and if you're not ready, or if you are a big company that can't justify moving exchange yet, then this buys you some time.
Well, let's be clear that some of the features are indeed deprecated, like email router. So if someone is hoping that email router will make an unexpected comeback, that's not going to happen.
No,
right.
that stake is definitely in the heart for that one.
Right. So anyway, so what else is there to say about that? I mean, we don't have a time frame. Is this when there will be updates coming out? We don't know much more than what they've announced.
Well, let me ask you this: what holes in the app can they fix to where that's going to be the main thing you're going to use? If the Outlook client is undeprecated, what would make you not say this is the way to track those things and track emails?
I could give you a couple of potential answers. One is you need to track things against some of the entities that haven't been modernized for mobile or UUI yet, specifically campaigns. If you track emails against campaigns, you can't use
not
the
those
effort.
campaign responses again.
I'm not mentioning campaign responses on mobile. Don't worry. You can sit down. I'm not saying that. But I'm just bringing that up as one thing. The other thing is, there's things like the address book, which doesn't show up from the app but does from the client. The ability, and this is the one thing I miss, in the client, I can select 15 emails, hit set regarding, and track them all at one time. Yep. I can do the same thing with contacts in a list view. Yep. You can't do that from the app.
Now, what features of the app does the Outlook add-in need right away?
Well, the things that once you start using it that are really nice to me are it's smarter in that it will suggest, this is Shawn's company, so you want to set regarding to this contact. It also handles duplicate detection a lot better. If you from the app track a contact and it's already there, duplicate detection fires and something pops up in Outlook, where in the app it doesn't. It shows up in your server-side sync logs that, this guy already exists, and by then you've missed it.
Right. I really like, because I use the app, the Outlook app, with the add-in, the web app, I guess you could say. Sorry, not to say add-in, and it works, and it works really, really well. I really like how you can go into the web app for Outlook and track it against a CRM record, see other information. That is really cool to me. However, if we're sticking to the Outlook Com add-in, I would want to have some mode or manner to be able to emulate that in the Outlook web app with the Com add-in. I think that's a unique experience that needs to be replicated.
Right. And the one thing that I don't see how they get away from is the Outlook Com add-in is so dependent on what other stuff you got running in Outlook. Where, the people who have the worst problems are the people that have multiple Com add-ins. And I don't care how souped up you make the CRM for Outlook Com add-in. If you've got 20 other add-ins, your Outlook's going to crawl to a halt and die a slow, painful death every time you open it up.
Or if you have an inordinately big PST files, something mailboxes over 100 megabytes always have historically suffered.
Did you just say megabytes?
I did.
My email is one email to you, Shawn, can be larger than 100 megabytes.
Yeah, it can.
That's why we don't open email from George.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
there's nothing more to say. I hope that Outlook app will get the features that it's missing now, like tracking multiple items, setting regarding, delegate tracking, and what's not.
It's going to be interesting to see what the next release holds for us.
I found that, remember that you mentioned the scenario this morning about delegate tracking? I found the scenario is really fascinating. Something that never came up in my experience. So can you elaborate? To me, delegate tracking is all about, boss and his secretary busily doing the work, but your scenario was much more elaborate.
So if you take a financial advisor, right? They meet with a client. They need to be able to track those things. They really only work off of their Outlook calendar. They don't want to much go into CRM or Dynamics 365 at all. So they hand the lion's share of that off to their assistant. Without delegate tracking, that is very difficult for their assistant to do without logging into their profile as their financial advisor. So that really is a bit of a problem, because with some IB firms, you could have very specific security requirements that enable you to see deals but not other accounts. For example, let's say that you're the investment banker over the TMT group, and I'm an investment banker over healthcare. I wouldn't necessarily see an account that has anything to do with technology, much as the same as you wouldn't see much in the realm of healthcare. But then when I do a deal with them, that's where that can cross those two chasms in terms of security requirement holes. But without delegate tracking, that assistant could support me and you and be totally pinned in a box.
Yep.
It gets very complex, very complicated, and if Dynamics wants to really make a dent in the financial services space, for sure, then the delegate permission tracking is essential.
Yeah, I found a really unusual kind of use case for me. So you use delegate tracking as the extra layer to protect native CRM permissions from being influenced by Outlook actions, so to speak.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting scenario, which is what secretary to boss is effectively about. You want your secretary to manage your kind of minutiae details, but at the same time you don't want your secretary, have a full access to all the confidential information you might have access to.
Right. The thing to keep in mind is this Microsoft CRM with client-side tracking had that scenario where this was something that was added in 2011, I believe. But then with the Outlook app and some differences in how Outlook apps work versus COM add-ins and server-side sync, it was like a scenario that either somebody forgot about or was farther on the list. And it's kind of like, you get the feeling that somebody on Microsoft wants to move to the Star Trek world, wants to move to what's next, which is relationship insights and moving past tracking. But the reality of where people are and what they need it for and why they use it isn't there yet.
Right, and they're thinking with the app, they're thinking mobile, right? But in reality, these investment bankers and power users are really relying on their Outlook contacts syncing to their phone to be their repository, not a Dynamics interface, which is not necessarily good or bad, but that is how the current workforce is leveraging the application. Now, when you start talking about millennials coming aboard, getting into power structures, then that could very much change on a dime. But as long as you have those 65, 70-year-old, 60-year-old power users, that requirement for Outlook integration is still gonna be there, and it's gonna need to be able to in the old school way of doing it.
I like how Shawn carefully goes down in age, but very careful not to cross the boundary where we suddenly fall into that. So it's kind of old farts, but we're not there yet, so don't think about that. Yeah.
I'm glad you caught that, George.
Yeah, it's like going 70, 65, 60. Let's cut it at that.
And then you got 23-year-old so-and-sos.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to all the different places with the Surface books that you guys heard about my wonderful adventures with Surface books.
No, what happened with the Surface book?
Oh, let me tell you about it. I'm talking from the new one. It's amazing with the OneDrive and Dropbox, where I keep all this stuff. And like development stuff goes into GitHub or Bitbucket or other repositories, right? With that, or even VSTS. So with all that, it took me like literally 3 hours to get myself on a new book up and running. But how did I get the new book? I noticed that my old Surface book just stopped closing properly. It just wouldn't close all the way, and it leaves the gap like a few mils between the parts, and I couldn't understand. I thought, man, it's getting unhinged and whatever. So I contacted support, and it's still on warranty and what's not, and they said, blah, 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 send us a screenshot, so I sent them a screenshot, and then my case coming back and said, we send you a replacement, and then the small note, my case is bulging battery. And then what happens is with the Surface Book, because it's detachable, the screen itself has a battery in it, right? Mm-hmm. It's obviously not the battery in traditional sense, like don't think about, a AAA battery or something like this. It's flat and it's thin and it's across the whole thing. And I noticed the Surface Book, sometimes it does kind of warm, because of that battery, it does warm up quite a bit. So it looks like it's the same cause that, and I looked at bulging batteries, the same cause that, exploding galaxies, same kind of stuff, battery bends until it can't bend anymore and then it explodes. So it's not quite there yet, but it's funny. The screen is like taking the round shape. It's actually bulging forward. But the warning to the Surface Book owners, I noticed, I'm not sure if it's coincidence or not, but the Surface Book, it does have the battery inside the screen, right? That's what's different about these and, say, Lenovo laptops. I noticed that some friends of mine have cool stickers all around their laptops. Like, Andrew, I'm looking at you, right? So
I was at the CRMG meeting with him, and I can verify he has the stickers on there.
Yeah.
very
So
much.
I put some cool stickers on mine, but the Surface Book has, and I use my best American voice, aluminum body, right? Or alloy body, whatever it is. And it uses surface to cool down. So I wonder if me putting stickers on it, I didn't put much, but I did put 2 large stickers on it. And I wonder if it's caused it to kind of to overheat a bit, reduced heat dissipation. I don't think it's a main cause, but it certainly didn't help. But anyway, if your Surface Book suddenly doesn't close all the way, you know what to do. Call Microsoft, no questions asked. They will basically send you a replacement spot on, right? Just basically no questions asked.
So they sent you a replacement, the same model you had, or did you get a newer one?
Yeah, I wish. No, it's the same model. It's the same model. No, they didn't send me a Surface Book 2, but they did send me a replacement model. So it's already arrived. I got it up and running. Within 3 hours, I had everything back. So yeah, it's well, that's talking about being mobile. Be ready to replace your laptop in a heartbeat. So it just things these days can be restored very quickly. And if you noticed, Windows 10 no longer has a backup. There is no backup program in Windows 10.
Are they
Why is that?
expecting you to store everything in the cloud?
Yeah, well, your account, if you link it, your settings, your account, your shortcuts, your, browsing, bookmarks, it all goes into the cloud. So your profile is already there. If you're using live, not local, but your live profile, it's already there. So that gets restored. You still need to reinstall the apps. So the only alternative to that would be a full disk backup, but disks are getting so large, and you're backing up redundant data, like already have, OneDrive and what's not. The other bit that the other reason why you don't want to get involved into full disk backups is that if you have a disk which is encrypted, then what do you do with your backup? Do you encrypt it? Where do you store the key? So there's the shebang. You can if you want to. There are third-party tools, but these days I don't really feel the need for me to restore my disk, which is like I've got 400 gig on it, right, of all this stuff. To restore that would take probably longer than 3 hours. For me, 3 hours to get up and running. It means things are coming in background. For example, my Dropbox is probably around, 300 gig, but I can get up and running very quickly, and then in background it's coming back. And, in 3 days it's all restored. Same with Outlook. My Outlook has a number of 100 megabyte messages in it. I don't need them right now. It will recover itself over a period, like a couple of days. So,
has your Windows 10 started doing this thing? I don't like it, but you restart and it reopens everything you had open on it before.
Yes,
I hate that.
My Surface does that
Because I want to have a fresh start, so I reboot, and then everything I had opened opens up again.
So
I think you can disable it. Are you sure?
Yeah, you can disable it. You can disable it, but it just irritated me when I started. When it started happening, it just irritated me.
No, but that's the reason behind that is when they introduced this, sneaky restarts, updates and restarts. What was irritating me until recently is that I come back and it says, "Oh, I just installed new updates for you," and I'm kind of, hold on, where's all my stuff gone that I had opened last night? Oh, bugger, I had like 7 documents open and 55 tabs, and I was in the middle of something. And now I have to kind of go and find what I had opened, and it killed some of the programs. So now, I do like it, because now I can say, yeah, update it, whatever. I come back, restart, log in, come back to where it was. So,
well, let's talk. That's enough news about our Surfaces. Let's talk about the important news. We're on Spotify now.
We are.
Finally.
You guys don't know. Let me impress upon you how important this is. This is my only chance to get my daughter to listen to the podcast and not Justin Bieber or whatever god awful music she listens to at the moment. It's the only way.
Shawn,
So-
you just alienated half of our audience by calling Justin Bieber awful.
Definitely all the Canadians.
Yeah, well, and some of the folks from Finland, I'm sure. But it's okay. It's all right. That's your taste, and you're welcome to it.
Hey, I wanted to ask you guys, coming back to the topic of where the Outlook announcement was made. That was made, I think, accidentally by James Phillips, who attended CRM Saturday in UK, and I believe he has a desire to attend as many these community gatherings as he can. So for those who don't know yet, James Phillips is basically the guy in charge of Dynamics, all of it.
Yep.
So now when it comes to the leadership at this level, now people before James Phillips, they were very cautious in making any announcements of that kind or any statements of that kind, basically protecting themselves from backtracking. So we can't commit to that, or we can't commit to this, and we won't commit to anything. In fact, not in public statements, because we don't want to backtrack. We don't want to see as non-trustworthy and things like that. Whilst James moves forward and says that, look, guys, we rushed in our announcement, so now we're backtracking and so on and so forth. We want to have an open dialogue. So the downside of open dialogue and a quick open dialogue is that sometimes they would need to backtrack, and sometimes they would need to say, oops, sorry guys, we told we're going to do X, but no, it didn't work out, so we're doing Y. So you guys dealing with the large corporate clients. For smaller fish like who I'm dealing with, it doesn't really matter. But for the larger clients, what style of leadership would they prefer? Do they prefer non-committal but reliable statements of kind of old school, or faster but less committal style that James seems to be?
I don't think the average large company that we work with, at least, is hanging on every word the Microsoft product team says. We have to a lot of times bang the drum that, hey, this is what Microsoft's doing. Some do, but the ones that are very active in the community do. And
most think they're big enough to where Microsoft will do what they say when they're most times wrong. But
right, and some of them are upset that Microsoft hasn't got a patch for their CRM 2015 that's having a performance issue. But I think it's more inside the community that MVPs. I think it's kind of a strange new world where you're just as likely to hear a major announcement if you go to a CRM Saturday that has 40 people at it. How many people go to a CRM Saturday?
it was over 100.
Okay,
there was over 100 folks. Yeah.
And they made big announcements at the Decisions Conference and CRM Saturday, which weren't huge things. And then the places you expect it, like CRM UG or some place where there's hundreds and hundreds of people. It's refreshing in some ways, and versus the days years ago where we didn't get any announcements and we'd have to beg them to say something. It's kind of refreshing that they're willing to say that, and it's refreshing that James Phillips is willing to say, hey, we made a wrong decision before I came on board. Now I'm on board, and this is what we're going to do.
But to answer George's question specifically, I think that less statements that are not that don't have some kind of backbone to them, I personally don't want them to say anything unless they mean it, or but I do respect the fact that they were able to go back on a statement and pull that in. That is good, listening to the community. But what I want to see more of is this is the vision, this is where we're going, this is why we're going there, and have backed up reasoning to do things. Because a lot of things that we've seen, I don't know if I should say a lot, but there are some things that we have seen in the past that have been done just because that's what the group wanted to do. I don't necessarily see the big clamor from the community on it. So I would personally rather see things based on user feedback and response.
I'm not arguing that there are better ways to do things. I was comparing just two distinct leadership styles, because my personal preference would be, yes, do listen to the community, but please listen before you make decisions and before you make announcements. We have a huge MVP community by now. So in Dynamics, we've got, 120 now or more? Maybe 150. I don't know how many, but we've got over 100 people, definitely good representatives of the community with all kind of clients, small and large, and what's not. And, wouldn't hurt saying, hey guys, we're thinking about deprecating auto client. What do you think the impact is going to be?
Right.
So that would be my preferred way to move forward,
right.
And not kind of rely on, tossing a coin and then says, oops, we thought it's going to be tails, but it's heads, guys, so suck to be you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing is we've got these, that seem like big changes in direction, like the Outlook client is sticking around for a little bit longer. We haven't seen really anything about the spring release yet, and that's going to be the first, let's call it post-Jujar release. And so, and probably a lot of the direction was set before, the change in leadership. But that's when it's going to be interesting to see, are there any real material changes in direction other than what arguably you might say are just, changes that aren't really big changes in direction?
Look, we do know some big stuff that's coming. We can't talk about it just yet, but
get George drunk and he'll tell you about it.
Yeah, right. So it's more about whether the dates, the deadlines, and the timeline is going to be kept. That's what the important question to me. Can I rely on those features to make it this year, for example? And so on and so forth. But speaking about, getting people drunk and what's not, we've got MVP Summit coming. So what are the big conferences coming, or small conferences, which looks like they the same importance? What your plans, guys?
Well, I went to CRMUG Summit last year and Extreme 365. What I'm planning on this year is at least CRMUG Summit. We'll see about Ignite or whatever. I haven't decided on those, but for sure I'll be at CRMUG Summit. We have the MVP Summit coming up, so springtime is pretty busy. We have our Hitachi Customer Conference end of April as well, so keeps us hopping with all the stuff going on here. And Shawn, I believe you're going to a Resco conference too, right?
Yes, I'm going to Resco next mid-March after the MVP Summit in Atlanta. So Scott LaFonte and I will be representing the At Your Service podcast very well. Hopefully we'll have some news in the coming weeks on that. So yeah,
okay.
I'm looking forward.
Okay,
to it.
I'm personally not going. Just too many travel commitments. I wish I could go to Extreme in Dubrovnik. That's going to be first kind of large conference this year. But it's followed by CRMUG in Dublin. That's where I'm going to be. So I'm going to that. I'm skipping UG Focus again this year due to just travel commitments. For developers, Microsoft Build is going to be the conference. Come May, you'll find me in Seattle. Then it's kind of undecided. There will be autumn or fall conferences in October, November. I haven't decided which ones to go to yet. But as far as Spring is concerned, yeah, these are big. Oh, Ignite, yeah. If I get to talk again, then I'll probably go. Ignite US. There will be Ignite Australia. Probably end up going at some point. I don't know yet. What about the business conferences? What's the leftovers after Convergence? Inspire, that's the one. Are you guys going?
When they put out the call for call for action on that, then we'll probably look at entering a couple of. I think Scott LaFontaine and I are going to try to do a couple PSA field service presentations, but that's up in the air. I'd love to go to Inspire.
And then, of course, look up at Tech Summit. There are lots of tech summits around. They go from city to city. And I got rejected. I accidentally pushed the button register for Washington, D.C. Tech Summit. And I got email saying, sorry, dude, but we've got limited number of spaces, so bugger off.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised. It's like, what? But how did I end up accidentally pushing the button? I did present at Tech Summit in Sydney. We had two very good dynamics sessions. Tech Summit is not about dynamics, but we managed to squeeze in two sessions, standing room only for both. I did, and Leon done one session. And then I was passing through after my vacation on the last leg with my family. I was in Singapore. And basically, long story short, I was given a talk, dynamics talk at Tech Summit in Singapore. So I had around 40, 50 people for the session that was went up on the schedule in the morning and was presented in the afternoon. So that was a good result. And then when I was poking around trying to upload my slide deck, I accidentally pushed the button to register for Washington, D.C. and got rejected. So I'm all in tears now and don't know what to do. But anyway, find Tech Summit near you. That's a great 2 days conference. You can talk to people about Azure, Office 365, Microsoft 365. Maybe if you like it, you get Dynamics as well. And of course, find Dynamics 365 Saturday session near you, because you don't know, James Phillips might pop in and do yet another precated announcement. Or
he might announce the email router's coming back or something.
Undeprecate email router, what's not. Yeah.
Well,
Mobile Express is back.
Service scheduling back in action. Yeah.
All right, so we do have the MVP Summit, and every year we have MVPs put together a wish list to ask Microsoft for. So I don't know who's typing. It sounds like a stampede of horses going by or something. But what are some things that are non-NDA? But what's some things on our wish list? Because I was looking back, I actually have a copy of the wish list we had back in 2014, and a lot of the stuff we had on there came to pass. Like date-only fields was a huge ask. We have that, and we don't think about that anymore. The customer field anywhere, that was one of the things we asked for. So what should we ask for this year?
I'm wanting more Outlook integration natively without the com add-in, obviously. I'm wanting a deep, Outlook integration with the field services mobile devices. I don't think you see it as much there. It's mainly just the work orders and such, but I would like to see that. I'd like to see more options for mobile device management within the out-of-the-box mobile client.
You're talking about supporting other types of MDM, yes, like Mobile Iron and people like that?
Right. Because that every big implementation you run into those kind of issues, and we always are having to say, well, you could always purchase Resco.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, you can use other MDM solutions, just Microsoft doesn't test them. So, but any MDM solution that can remotely add or remove apps can be used with it. It's just Microsoft hasn't stamped it that said, we support this.
Right. The support would be the good thing for me. What about you, George?
I'm still trying to decipher your MDM, what you're referring to. But it's
the only supported ones are good or BlackBerry Enterprise now and Intune.
No, what's the MDM? Is it Microsoft Data Marketing?
No, Mobile Device Management.
Yeah.
Right.
We're running out of 3-letter acronyms. Really.
Yes, we are.
Yes, and when they make the marketing solution work on mobile, then we'll have MDM for MDM.
Not again the campaign responses. Not again, please.
And one other thing. Now that you mentioned marketing, a user level. Well, I shouldn't say user level. A customer level focused package for Azure, right? So instead of
please leave it to DevOps, please.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that anyone other than DevOps should do it from an enterprise standpoint. What I'm saying is pricing that is logical in the minds of a business user.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because right now you're looking at transactions, you're looking at data, you're looking at and they should have for the average user of your size, if you're using marketing, it's going to be this much for Azure costs. If you use customer insights, it should be this. Or if do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, so you need more predictable Azure pricing when you bring in things like the export service and all these other things that's only increasing.
Interestingly enough, come to my talk at CRMUG because I've been doing some of Azure integration talks before. And this talk is about Azure integration, but I'm changing the focus of the talk from technical to deployment, as in how much it's going to cost you, what are the options, and what the costs of those options are. I'm not sure I do have something in pipeline as far as estimations are concerned, but I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but hear you loud and clear. So things that are often overlooked. So you need to be aware of the costs.
Yep.
You know what I tell people when they ask me how much it's going to cost? I'm going to say it's less than what you pay in CRM.
True.
And you know what? When we get the enhanced mobile device management for Microsoft Dynamics 365 marketing, so we have our MDM for MDM. You know what we're going to need next to make sure that our marketing information is correct? We're going to need some master data management. So we need MDM for MDM for MDM.
Sure. MDM cubed.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. All right. Well, your answers are cute, but I'm going to give you the real answer. And the thing we need is email engagement that works in more places. So we got this great thing, email engagement, so I can send Shawn an email and I can be Mr. Stalker and I can know he opened it on his iPhone at 6 o'clock p.m. But it only really, really works if I send the email from within the browser, within the application. Most people don't want to do that. What real people are asking for is, I want to send from Outlook or any app, Apple Mail or whatever, and we need a way to make that work. And I understand there's probably some technical reasons why it's not there yet, but there are third parties. There's one for Salesforce, I can't remember what it's called, YesMail or something like that somebody I was talking to was using. And it does that from other mail apps and can tell them stats on what they do. So
I have one word for you.
What?
GDPR.
Yes.
That's 4 words, George.
Let me tell you about my asks. I would say that some of them I know coming, so hopefully we will be able to talk about them soon, but they are common. The 2 asks, as a developer, I want to see a couple things. One is regarding field for all. We've got customer now. We need multi-entity, lookups. We need regarding field.
So are you bringing up the banging the Shan drum for polymorphic relationships everywhere?
Yeah, I'm keeping the dream alive. Yes. And the other one, I want all the artificial limitations on all the entities gone. I want categories to have many-to-many relationships. I want all the details be customizable, and so on and so forth. Like if I break something by customizing, well, that's on me, right? But there are no reasons to have those entities locked down.
Right. And let's see what else. Oh, so there was a new version of the Fetch XML builder. I haven't had a chance to look at it. Shawn or George, have you played with it yet?
Well, I'm not a developer, so let's say that right off the bat. I've opened the tool in the toolbox. One of the cool things you can do is you can dock the various little windows to whichever you like. So, for example, like on in one of my environments, I can pull up quickly the lookup view. It gives me the fetch XML. I can then copy that. I can refresh my views. Fetch XML Builder is really becoming something that a non-developer can use and really get some good output from it.
So God helps us all.
Yeah. Blame Jonah.
Yeah, Flow and Fetch XML Builder. Well, Flow is good. Flow, as I mentioned in the other chat, is creating job security for all of us.
Yep. Yeah, so it's giving jobs to the citizen developers because they can do.
And then citizen developers create future jobs for developers.
And then it creates job opportunities for real developers. It's a virtuous cycle.
A circle of life, if you will. But
Cue the music, yep.
If you haven't had a chance, check out Fetch XML Builder. It's got some neat functions in it.
I think, few guys are now on a mission because I believe the man himself, Tanguy, is rewriting some parts of the XRM toolbox to support multiple connections, things like that. So watch out this space, like really watch out XRM toolbox because there's some big changes coming, lots of changes coming. One of the changes that kind of is needed, I'm not sure, I'm not involved in any of the plugins, or maybe I should, but I'm not involved in any of the plugins or XRM toolbox itself. But one of the things that desperately needed is ability to connect to multiple instances and connect as app. For example, for online management, like backup management and stuff like this, user connection no longer does it. So you need to connect as Azure application to it. So it's slightly different type of connection. So it needs to be enhanced moving forward. All the good stuff.
So on the backup topic, we had the thing that people noticed when they went to V9, which is in Office 365, the backup and restore tab disappeared from the Dynamics 365.
You see, backup disappears from everywhere. First from Windows 10, then from the management instances. No longer needed. That's it.
And so what somebody determined was the reason it went away is it's no longer needed because since we're on Azure SQL now, Azure SQL is always backed up real time, so you can request I need a backup from 2:52 p.m. restored, so you have to call support. And I guess the question is, how long does that take? Because I could see it's a plus. I don't have to remember to back up. If I do it, I screw something up with a big solution import, I can get the backup. But now you got to go through support. So it feels like two steps forward, one step back a little bit to me.
No, to me it's not a substitution. One is not the backup. Continuous backup is great, right? It is great. It's the same way like Office documents now do the automated backups in the background, and if it crashes, like restore the instance and what's not. But it's still not a substitution for me flagging a specific snapshot of the instance and saying that's what I want.
Right. Or
I'm just about to do something.
Restoring automatically,
Yeah, and that's what I
call
want.
Somebody.
Yeah, I don't want to call anyone and say, restore me the instance, and I'm saying when. I'm saying 5 minutes ago. No, 10 minutes ago. No, hold on. When did I start the whole thing? No, I know that I want to do a snapshot. And for them, it's easy because they don't need to do a special backup. They just need to put a time marker in the end and saying, this is the one we want, right? So in the end of the day, this is just a time marker. If backup is continuous, right? So for me, it's just put it up, flag, and say I'm just about to do something nasty. Didn't work out. Here's the flag. I'm saying please restore to that one. So one is not a substitution. The one is disaster recovery, always on, and it's great, but it's not a substitution for the user-driven backups. They don't have to be backups per se. They need to create an illusion of being backups and restores, user control backups and restores. I don't care how they implement it, but to me it's important to have user control. Which,
I agree. And really important is the communication that functionality is available. It really needs to be out there much better on docs.microsoft.com.
Yeah, and brings interesting topic. I was teaching customer service class the other day, and I was asking people, you'll see how it's related. What is your favorite support channel when you need to contact a company?
Chat. Web chat by far.
Yes. Now, correct. And can you tell me why?
Because you get somebody instantly, normally, and I don't have to wait in a queue to call somebody. And the companies that do it really well, like I think Amazon the last couple times, it seamlessly transitioned from a web chat to a phone call when I needed to talk to somebody. And I also generally get smarter people, or like if you need to update your payment method or something.
Now you
like
just
that.
profiling easy on smarter people. You just
No, you get people who are more prepared to give you a quicker answer than having to give your whole life story and talk and whole.
Yeah, these are all valid, but you can get those on phone calls or emails as well. Particularly with Amazon, I had all the experiences with them, and like phone calls were equally productive to web chat. But then I figured out what's the advantage for me of the web chat. What's the essence of why I prefer web chat to any other channel? Because with the web chat, it puts me in control of our conversation. Right? So I don't have to. When you call and they say, please wait, who's in control? They are. You don't know how long you're going to wait. You're listening to annoying music that gets interrupted every 20 seconds by your call is important to us, right? If it was important, you would have answered it already. So with web chat, I can put it on the side, and I know I'm in a queue, or I know someone is typing something, but it creates a really nice parallel environment where I'm in control of our conversation as much as the other party is. Right.
No,
I
agree.
don't have to wait for the answer and so forth. So that's what I like about the web chat. So you see how it ties back to our previous conversation. It's all about who's in control. Right.